everybody! So, we are the Group 1. Today, we're gonna discuss about Immanuel Kant's The Good Will and Kant's Categorical Imperatives. Pero bago yan, alamin muna natin, sino nga ba si Immanuel Kant? Immanuel Kant is a German philosopher who stands as one of the most influential and significant philosopher in the Western thought. Ipinanganak siya noong April 22, 1724. Ang kanyang ina ay anak ng isang harness maker at ang kanyang ama naman ay isang master harness maker. Ang kanyang buong pamilya ay devoted as Pietists. And Pietists is a branch of Lutheranism that emphasizes personal piety, humility, and literal interpretation of the Bible. And yung pagiging religious nila is nakahelp sa ethical philosophy ni Kant later on. So, for the academic and work background of Kant, Kant attended School of Pietists at the age of 8 and 16. At the age of 16, Kant attended the University of Königsberg and dito siya maraming nakilalang iba't ibang philosopher na naka-impluwensya sa kanya. Dito na rin siya sa university na to nagtrabaho at the age of 31. And yung work niya is walang bayad. So, nagtuturo siya ng walang bayad sa University of Königsberg. And during the pre-critical period, na-influensyahan siya ng rationalist thinkers like Leibniz and Wolff and empiricist thinkers like David Hume. Hume's skepticism, especially on the critique of causality, cited as the awakening of Kant's from dogmatic slumber, and it urges him to make his own critical philosophy. Okay, so tapos na tayo sa background ni Immanuel Kant. Sana ay naiintindihan nyo at natutunan nyo kung ano nga ba yung mga nangyari sa buhay niya bago siya maging isang kilalang philosopher. So, dumako na tayo sa The Good Will. Pero bago yan, magkaroon na tayo ng recap. Ano nga ba yung basic of Kant's ethic? Keith?
Hi everyone, I am Keith, and now let's have a brief recap of basic of Kant's ethics. So, Kant's ethics is a normative ethics in which binding rules are laid down according to which people should act. It is an ethics of reason that judges actions with reason and not emotion. It is a deontological ethics in which the concept of duty plays a special role. And finally, Kant's ethics is an ethics of conviction. Conviction, the intention to act. The motive for the action is important, not the consequences of the action. Kant's view of man is very important for understanding his ethics. According to Kant, man is both a rational being and a sensory being. He has a sensory and a rational part. Reason refers to the human ability to gain knowledge and make judgments. When it comes to judgment in relation to human action, moral judgment, we speak for practical reason, and those are basic of Kant's ethics. So now, ngayon naman talakayin natin ang background ni Immanuel Kant. So, Kant went to find clear and universally valid criterion for evaluating human action. He asked himself the question, what is good without limitation? So, para masagot niya yung tanong na to, he first examined what people usually consider to be good, namely the so-called natural gifts, which means the qualities the people have by nature, and the gifts of fortune people owe to fortunate circumstances to fate. Ngayon, dinivide ulit ni Kant ang natural gifts into talents of the mind at qualities of temperament. Yung talents of the mind, yun yung mental abilities ng isang tao, like intelligence and humor. At kapag sinabi namang qualities of temperament, ito naman yung mga character traits like courage and persistence. These are natural gifts, characteristic that someone has or does not have by nature. Pag sinabing gifts of fortune naman o biyaya ng kapalaran like power or health, ito yung mga bagay na nakukuha dahil sa swerte o tadhana. So it depends on luck. Depends on luck, on fate, whether you become powerful or rich, no matter how talented or hardworking you may be by nature. So now Kant examines whether these qualities can be called good without restriction. His answer is no. Ang natural gifts ay maaaring gamitin sa masama kung masama ang layunin ng taong gumagamit nito. Halimbawa, sa talents of the mind, maaaring gamitin ng isang terorista ang kanyang intelligence upang magplano ng pag-atake. Halimbawa naman sa qualities of temperament, ang courage at persistence ay maaaring gamitin ng mga suicide bomber or stalker. Now, to the gifts of fortune, are power and wealth unreserved good? Here too, Kant's answer is no as well. They can lead to arrogance and be misused according to Kant. Ang power ay maaaring mauwi sa pang-aabuso at kasamaan. Halimbawa nito ay yung kay Adolf Hitler. Ginamit niya ang kapangyarihan niya sa paglikha ng Holocaust. Ang wealth ay maaaring gamitin sa immoral na gawain naman. Halimbawa, si Jeffrey Epstein ay ginamit ang kanyang kayamanan upang magpatakbo ng illegal at human trafficking. Yun lamang.
Okay, so tapos na tayo sa recap. Dumako na tayo talaga sa the goodwill. Pero ano nga ba yung the goodwill? Sa pagkakaalam ko, yung the goodwill is it is a desire to do good regardless of the limitations and qualifications. Like, yung value ng goodwill is still there. Hindi nagmamatter kung ano yung effect or maging consequence niya. Ate Manilyn, tama po ba yung iniisip ko?
Tama ka dyan, AC. Pero, ano nga ba ang the goodwill ni Immanuel Kant? Only goodwill is good without limitation. In general, will means the motive for the action, the attitude. More precisely, for Kant, the will is the human ability to determine one's own actions. On the basis of his reason, man is able to act according to the principles of reason and thus according to self-imposed goals. As rational beings, they have autonomy. In order to be able to judge whether actions are moral, the will must be considered in Kant's ethics of conviction. The will is good if it is determined exclusively by practical reason and is guided by the moral law. The moral law is nothing other than the famous categorical imperative, which will be discussed later by other members. Two further terms are important in connection with the human will. First, duty is that which human reason dictates or prescribes. The second one is inclinations, our needs, personal interests, desires, and feelings. Let's proceed to influences on the will. What can influence the human will? In this graphic, you see man as a sensory being and a rational being. Man has a sensory and a rational side. On the sensory side, inclinations and expected consequences influence the human will. People are guided by needs, desires, and feelings. They also considered what consequences their actions might have. On the rational side, the moral law influences the human will. The moral law corresponds to the categorical imperative. Since humans are not only rational beings, but also sensory beings, the moral law does not automatically or objectively determine the human will. He must respect it subjectively. With what you know about Kant's ethics so far, you can probably already guess which influences Kant approve of and which he does not, right? Reason. The moral law should determine the human will, not inclinations or possible consequences of actions. Sana po ay naintindihan nyo. Back to you, AZ.
Oh, so yun pala yung the goodwill. Ngayon naman, dumango tayo sa 3 types of action according to Kant.
Now, ano nga ba ang 3 types of action according to Immanuel Kant? There are 3 types of action according to Kant. Number 1, mga gawaing taliwas sa tungkulin or actions contrary to duty. Ito po yung mga taliwas sa moral na batas at immoral. Ang mga gawain ay hindi naaayon sa tama o sa moral na batas. Ibig sabihin po, ito ay mga kilos na hindi dapat ginagawa dahil ito ay labag sa tungkulin ng isang tao at hindi makatao o immoral. Halimbawa, kung may pagkakataon kang tumulong sa isang taong nangangailangan, pero pinili mong hindi tumulong kahit kaya mo naman, ito ay isang halimbawa ng gawaing taliwas sa tungkulin. Dahil minsan, may mga kilos na ginagawa ang isang tao, hindi dahil gusto niya, kundi dahil alam niyang tungkulin niyang gawin ito bilang isang moral na obligasyon. Ginagawa niya ito hindi dahil sa sariling kagustuhan, kundi dahil alam niyang ito ang tama at dapat. Kaya, kahit na ayaw niya sa loob niya, ginagawa pa rin niya ito dahil ito ang tama sa mata ng moralidad. So, yun lang po ang ibig sabihin ng gawaing taliwas sa tungkulin o actions contrary to duty according to Immanuel Kant. So, number 2 po, mga gawaing ayon sa tungkulin or dutiful actions. Ayon po kay Immanuel Kant, ang isang kilos ay tunay na moral kung ito ay ginawa dahil sa tungkulin, hindi dahil sa sariling kagustuhan o makasariling dahilan. May 3 pong uri ng pagkilos. Number 1, aksyon dahil sa agarang pagnanasa o kagustuhan, from immediate inclination. Number 2, aksyon na walang agarang kagustuhan or without immediate inclination. Number 3, aksyon dahil sa makasariling interes or out of selfish intention. Ito naman ay only legal, not moral. So, explain ko po siya one by one. So, number 1 po, from immediate inclination, halimbawa, tumulong ka sa kaibigan kasi gusto mo lang tumulong o dahil masaya ito para sa'yo. Hindi ito moral kasi ang motibo mo ay damdamin o personal na kagustuhan lamang. Sa number 2 naman po, without immediate inclination, halimbawa, tumulong ka kahit ayaw mo, pero alam mong tungkulin mo itong gawin. Ito ang tunay na moral na kilos kasi ginawa mo ito dahil alam mong ito ang tama, kahit wala kang pakinabang o gana. For number 3, out of selfish intentions. Ito naman po, halimbawa, tumulong ka para purihin ka o may kapalit. Legal lang ito pero hindi moral. Maaaring tama sa batas pero hindi tama sa moralidad. Ayon kay Kant. So, basically, para kay Kant, ang tamang kilos ay yung ginagawa hindi dahil gusto mo lang o may kapalit, kundi dahil alam mong ito ang dapat gawin bilang tungkulin ayon sa moral na batas na dapat pareho para sa lahat. So, ito lang po ang ibig sabihin ng dutiful actions or mga gawaing ayon sa tungkulin according to Immanuel Kant. For the last, number 3, actions from duty. This is out of pure respect for the moral law and this is moral. Sa pananaw ni Immanuel Kant, ang isang kilos ay masasabing moral kung ito ay ginagawa hindi dahil sa sariling interes, pakinabang o emosyon, kundi dahil ito ay tungkulin. Isang bagay na itinuturing mong tama batay sa moral na batas. Ibig sabihin, kapag kumilos ka mula sa tungkulin, ginagawa mo ito dahil alam mong ito ang nararapat at hindi dahil sa gusto mo, takot ka, may gantimpala o ayaw mong maparusahan. Halimbawa, kung tinulungan mo ang isang matandang tumawid hindi dahil naaawa ka o gusto mong purihin ka ng iba, kundi dahil naniniwala kang tama itong gawin, ito ay pagkilos mula sa tungkulin. Ayon kay Kant, ang ganitong pagkilos mula sa tungkulin ay nagpapakita ng mabuting kalooban o goodwill, isang kaloobang tapat sa paggawa ng tama kahit mahirap o hindi kaaya-aya. So, this is the actions from duty. Again, this is the 3 types of actions according to Immanuel Kant.
At para naman po lalo nating maintindihan, meron po kaming mga inihandang example, katulad po ng action contrary to duty. Action contrary to duty refers to action that violate moral duty or laws. Such action are generally viewed as unjust and can range from minor violation to serious crime. For example, pagnanakaw, pagsisinungaling o paglabag sa traffic rules. Hindi ito tama at hindi ito maituturing na di makatarungan. Pangalawa ay dutiful action out of selfish intention. This action is performed because it benefits the individual despite also being a legal obligation. For example, pagbabayad ng buwis dahil ayaw mo maparusahan, hindi dahil sa paniniwala mo sa kahalagahan ng pagbayad ng buwis. At last is action from duty. This is when someone acts because they recognize it as the right thing to do regardless of personal feelings or benefits. It focuses on moral correctness rather than the personal gain. For example naman po dito is yung pagsasabi po ng totoo kahit po na mahirap o pagtulong sa nangangailangan kahit wala kang makukuhang kapalit.
Sana'y naintindihan nyo kung ano nga ba ang the goodwill. Ngayon naman, dumako tayo sa Kant's categorical imperatives.
Ngayon naman, let's move on to our topic, Kant's categorical imperatives. So, according to Immanuel Kant, morality means acting in accordance with the categorical imperatives. It only means that an act is only moral if it is done in accordance with the categorical imperatives. Otherwise, the act that was done is immoral or non-moral. According to Immanuel Kant, the category of imperative is the supreme principle of morality. But what does the categorical imperative means? So, first, let's find out what imperative means. Imperative means to command. It is ordering someone to do or to not do something. For example, do not eat this, tell the truth, or simply finish your assignment today. There are two types of imperatives, namely hypothetical and categorical. So, in hypothetical, it is a conditional command. So, you only have to follow the command if you want to achieve a certain goal. For our first example, if you want to be physically fit, you have to exercise regularly and eat healthy foods. So, you only have to exercise regularly and eat healthy foods if you want to be physically fit. But if you do not, you don't have to do it. So, for our second one is, if you want to pass your exam, you have to study ahead. So, the command is, you have to study ahead and your goal is pass your exam. But if you do not want to pass your exam, you don't have to study ahead. So, we can see that in hypothetical, there's always an if word. So, for the second one, which is categorical, it is an absolute command. It means it is a command you must follow no matter what. For example, do not cheat. It is a command that you have to do whether you like it or not. Even if you are tempted to steal, you ought not to.
May core concept ang Kantian of ethics. At una na dito ay ang the goodwill. Ano nga ba ang the goodwill? Halina't alamin natin ito. The goodwill. For Kant, the goodwill is the one that facilitates human act. But what makes the goodwill good? For Kant, a goodwill is good not because it produces a good result. Ibig sabihin, hindi porket gumawa ka ng magandang kabutihan at nagdulot ito ng magandang resulta, ay mabuti ka na. Therefore, the goodwill is good without any qualification. The goodwill is good without any condition. But how it is manifested? According to Kant, a goodwill manifested when it is done for the sake of duty. For example, the goodwill for helping a friend. Tumulong ka at tinulungan mo siya dahil nag-e-expect ka ng return. Nag-e-expect ka ng return sa kanya at nag-e-expect ka na meron kang makukuhang reward galing sa kanya. Kaya mo siya tinulungan. Then for Kant, the goodwill is not good without qualification because it is not done for the sake of duty. Pero, kung tinulungan mo yung friend mo dahil alam mong ito yung tama at ito yung makakabuti, then the goodwill is good with qualification. Sabi ni Kant, ang will ay autonomous if it is self-legislating, not influenced by any outside factors and not forced. So, in other words, kapag ang moral agent performs a particular act, then ang will niya ay autonomous if she is not forced.
Thank you so much, Charin. Para naman sa ating second core concept of Kantian ethics, which is the duty and the moral worth of an act, I am Ate Sara at ipapaliwanag ko to sa inyo. The principle of duty in ethics emphasizes yung pag-act natin morally out of a sense of obligation and hindi para lang sa self-interest natin. And a moral act driven by duty ay ginagawa natin kasi it's the right thing to do regardless sa mga consequences nito. So, doing what's right even if it's hard is the best reason to act. Imagine, you have a magic rulebook for being good. And sa rulebook na to, sinasabi niya na ang duty mo is the most important thing to do. Teka, ano nga ba muna ang duty? Duty means doing what's right kahit na mahirap. It's like always telling the truth kahit na mas madali namang magsinungaling, di ba? So sometimes, doing your duty might not feel good, but it's still the best thing to do. For example, naglalaro kayo sa labas ng kaibigan mo, and helping a friend who fell down even if you're busy playing is doing your duty. Okay, let's talk about doing good things. Sometimes, we do nice things kasi gusto natin sa mga kabutihang ginagawa natin, merong kapalit. At yun ay ang tinatawag nating self-interest. But if we only do good things to get something for ourselves, hindi rin naman tama yun, di ba? Kasi, ang pagiging mabuti talaga ay yung paggawa natin ng tama. Kasi, yun yung alam nating tama. And not because we get something in return, like a reward or punishment. So, being kind because you want a friend to like you is different from being kind because it's the right thing to do. Sabi nga ni Immanuel Kant, an act has a moral worth if it is done for the sake of duty. But if an act is done out of self-inclination, then it has no moral worth. Diba? And now, how about the idea of actions that accord with duty and actions done for the sake of duty? Okay, imagine, you have to clean your room. If you clean it only because your mom will be mad pag hindi mo ginawa, yun ay accord with duty. And it's not really a good deed. Ginawa mo nga maglinis kasi you want to avoid trouble and hindi dahil yun yung tamang gawin. See, hindi siya masama pero hindi rin naman siya mabuti. Pero, if you clean your room kasi responsibility mo to gawin and you also want to help out, yun ay done for the sake of duty. That's really a good thing. It shows you care even it's a chore. So tandaan, helping someone just because it makes you feel good is actions that accord with duty. But helping someone because it's the right thing to do is actions done for the sake of duty. Maliwanag? Syempre, hindi pa tayo nagtatapos dyan. Ano nga ba ang susunod? Ashley?
The next one is the formulations of categorical imperatives. Now, the first formulation is based on the principle of universality. The first principle says that act only on that maxim whereby you can, at the same time will that it should become a universal law. The first formulation focuses on universality, or if it can't work for everyone, it's not morally acceptable for all. Sa madaling salita po, If hindi po siya applicable para sa ating lahat, hindi po siya magiging morally right. So, for example, a student chooses to cheat in order to pass the exam. As we can see, the maxim is to cheat or cheat. And cheating can't be universalized because di naman po pwedeng mag-cheat na lang po tayo, and it is not applicable for all. So, cheating is always morally wrong according to categorical imperatives rather. Example number 2. Returning a wallet with a money inside. As we can see, the maxim is returning, and returning can be universalized, meaning returning things is morally right according to the categorical imperatives.
Para sa panghuli nating topic, ito yung the second formulation of categorical imperatives of Immanuel Kant. Bago natin simulan yung topic natin sa second formulation, magbibigay lang ako ng isa sa mga kasabihan ni Immanuel Kant about sa metaphysics of morals. Ito ay, act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never merely as a means to an end, but always at the same time as an end. Para sa second formulation natin is, every rational action must set before itself not only a principle but also an end. Most ends are of a subjective kind of because they need only be pursued if they are in the line with some particular hypothetical imperative that a personal may choose to adapt. For an end to be objective, it would be necessary that we categorically pursue it. The free will is the source of all rational action, but to treat it as subjective and is to deny the possibility of freedom in general. Because the autonomous will is the one only source of moral action, it would contradict the first formulation to claim that a person is merely a means to some other end, rather than always an end in themselves. On this basis, Kant derives the second formulation of the categorical imperative from the first. By combining this formulation with the first, we learn that a person that perfect duty not to use the humanity of themselves or others merely as means to some other end. As a slave owner, would be effective asserting a moral right to own a person as a slave. They would be asserting a property right in another person. This would violate the categorical imperative because it denies the basis for there to be free rational action at all. It denies the status of a person as an end to themselves. One cannot on Kant's account ever suppose a right to treat another person as a mere means to an end. In the case of a slave owner, the slaves are being used to cultivate the owner fields or the slave's action as the means to ensure a sufficient harvest or the end goal of the owner. The second formulation also leads to imperfect duty to further the ends of ourselves and other of any person derives or desires perfections in themselves or others. It would be their moral duty to use that end for all people equally, so long as that end does not contradict perfect duty.
At dyan na nga natatapos ang reporting ng Group 1 about Immanuel Kant's categorical imperatives and the good will. Sana ay naintindihan nyo. Hanggang sa muli!